children is they don't really care about some of the things that you care about when you become an adult. They don't care about what's for breakfast tomorrow, what's lunch, what's the bill being paid at the end of the month. If we were able to have the innocence of a child, then we'd understand what it means to solely depend on God, just like a child depends on the parent. We would learn to put all our trust in God. But as I said earlier, when you tango with sin, it has a way of confusing us. Now, there's two things we can take from this story. The first thing is, from the others, when the parents stopped praising and doing the work, the children rose up. We have to be careful what environment, what influences we're giving our children, what we're teaching our children. Because regardless what it is, when you decide to put it aside, they'll pick it up. And that's good or bad. The second thing you have to take from this is that you definitely have to ground your children in the Word of God, because no matter how hot you are right now, there might be a time when you might be running a little bit cold. And none of us here are going to be young forever, so there's going to come a time when you're going to get a little bit old. And that is when you're going to need your young children, to continue the work that you've started. You're going to need your children when you're getting cold to inspire you. But earlier, Brother Hugh talked about some statistics. And statistics are showing that we're losing our children. My question to everybody today is, in that moment when the Pharisees started coming and looking on, who would have kept on praising? Nobody? You're honest. Okay. In that moment when the Pharisees came and started rebuking people, what are you doing? Who would have kept on praising? Amen, little man. Amen. Who believes that their child, if you had stopped praising, in spite of what you were doing, your child, your children would have kept on praising? Who believes that? What has happened to us? We have all these truths, we have all this technology, we believe all these things, we have so many books in the spirit of prophecy, I can't even get through them all. We have access to so many things. But for some reason, we still can't get up and go. We still don't have that little nudge to tell us we need to take a big step, a big jump for God. And so even now, we look at some of these young people, some of these stones that we think are unlearned, and they don't know life yet. They're young birds. They don't understand the storm. But my question to you today is, are you more Christian than a fifth grader? On your screen, can you guys get the screens clearly? On your screen, I have two speeches. The first one was written by George Washington. It says, and this is in the 1880s, it says, "The acceptance of and continuance hitherto in the office to which your suffrages have twice called me have been a uniform sacrifice of inclination to the opinion of duty and to a difference for the what appeared to be..." Who understands what he's talking about? Nobody, right? This language is foreign to us. On the right, yes, on the right-hand side is a speech that was written by George Bush. So they're both named George, so they have something in common. "I have experienced setbacks. There are things I would do differently if given the chance. Yet I have always acted with the best interest of our country in mind. I have followed my conscience and done what I thought was right. You may not agree with me with some of the decisions I have made, but I hope you can agree that I was willing to make the tough decisions." Who understands what that speech is about? Everybody, right? You can relate to that. Both these speeches reflect a fifth grade level education. Let me explain. No president writes their own speech out there. But when the speech is put out, it is put out so that people at least the fifth grade level education can understand what the president is speaking about. The speech on your left represents what children in the fifth grade in 1880s we're using as literature. Today, this is a doctoral level article. This is what people in their doctoral degrees are breaking down. How is it that when technology is getting so far advanced and we're supposed to be smarter people, how is it that we can't understand the things that were back in the day? But this was grade 5 schoolwork. Something's wrong. Nobody's talking to me. See, there's some very good things that technology has done for us, but I'm here to talk about some things that we might not realize is happening because, you know, we only see the good sometime in these things when it's presented to us, but we're not realizing some of the negative attributes of it. So let me put some scenarios to you, or some situation. Statistically, the average person spends 4 years of their life looking at their phone. So we're doing a whole lot of reading, and whether you're texting or Googling something, we're doing a whole lot more reading. But the irony is, touch screens seem to be making us lose touch of each other. We don't have time for each other anymore. Technology claims to improve communication, but communication has become a greater conflict due to technology. And if you ask majority of the persons who have experienced marriage and have divorced, it's because they say, well, we couldn't communicate. On Facebook, we have huge friends list. I had a friend that had 5,000 friends. They had to stop him. But in the world, in the literal world, we're growing more friendless. We measure self-worth by the number of likes we get from a post or a picture you put up, and if nobody likes it, then believe it or not, some of our children are sitting down depressed. People commit suicide because nobody likes a post that they're putting up. These are our children. They have parents. How do you feel neglected that the world doesn't recognize you? Even to the point of killing themselves. You tell someone, let's meet up. And they think you're talking about, you know, going on Skype or Oovo or, you know, going on Google Hangouts or one of these things. Our conversations have been dumbed down to abbreviations. And so in texting or whatever you see these days, people write LOL or laugh out loud, shaking my head, talk to you later, oh my goodness. What BWT mean, nigga? BTW. By the way, okay, so you guys know that was a test to see if you guys knew this one. Or even be right back. And it's the funniest thing when people write be right back to me because the phone is still in your hand. You haven't gone anywhere. What you're trying to tell me is give me 1 second, I'm doing something. But they say be right back as though they put the phone on and walked away. It messes up even how you communicate with each other. We are losing the ability to spell because we have no patience to even write these words out anymore. But who cares about this stuff? We have autocorrect. If you misspell one of these words, autocorrect tells you, you just click it, not even worrying how it actually is spelled. You know, nobody even takes I can't even, all I do now is know how to sign my name because there's no requirement to write anymore. I saw a patient write a letter, you know, giving a thank you letter the other day, and her handwriting was so beautiful. It looked like it was computer written. And I was like, man, how do you do this? Then some teenagers came in like, yeah, it's beautiful. We don't even write that. They don't write script. That's what it's called. No, they don't write cursive anymore. So the children don't learn to do that anymore. They don't even write anymore. They type. And for those of us who are tech savvy, some don't even text anymore. They snap, so they take pictures, or they send videos, or they just use voice notes. So what you do is you talk to your phone, and your phone just types what you want to tell the other person. In the midst of all of this, we're realizing that the attention deficit disorder is at a massive increase. And people are wondering, why is this happening? Well, when you think about it all adds up, no pun intended. It all adds up. One study showed or suggests that the attention span of the average young person today is 1 second lower than that of a goldfish. Now, there was a myth earlier on that said that goldfish only have a 3-minute memory. It's not really true. But when the person put this study out, you know, there was a whole lot of attack, and it shone some light on, man, what's going on with the minds of our youth today? Once upon a time, memories were shared in storytelling. And so you would be at the dinner table. I can imagine on a Sunday evening, you'd have, so I'm Jamaican. Did I mention that earlier? Okay, I didn't. So I can imagine on a Sunday evening, some rice and peas and some brown stewed chicken, and you'll be there eating, and your grandmother, your grandfather, whoever will be sharing some stories, these things don't happen anymore. Now, if you don't have a video of the event that you're talking about, the young people probably will never even know what you're talking about. They'll never hear these stories. People take so many pictures of their meals, you have to wonder, what time do they even take to eat it? They're taking a picture, taking a bite of this barbecue chicken, taking a sip of my champagne, eat my salad. People take the desire is there to put all this out there that you don't even take the time to enjoy the thing that you're eating. And this one just trips me out. I remember when I came here, they told me I can't wear white at a certain time of the year. I was like, they didn't tell me that at the embassy. If you want to post a picture from the past, you are governed by a rule that says it can only be done on Thursdays. So you have Throwback Thursdays. Anybody ever heard that before? No? All right. So on the social networks, you can only post pictures from the past on Thursdays. Who wrote that rule? I don't know. We have become so controlled in everything that we do that in this age of technology, and as my sister rightly said, people are literally killing themselves over these things, that it can only best be described as digital insanity. Sometimes the only time some of us are hit with reality or reminded that humanity exists is when we have a low battery. So you have to tap out. You have to, whoa, there's actually a real virtual world going on around me right now. Technology was supposed to teach us more about ourselves, but it has led us into being more confused. And so life was supposed to get easier. We were supposed to grow smarter. But in all actuality, life has become more complex. It has become harder. I can bet you the average person in here has 2 to 3 jobs just to survive. And some of you are still in school. We are suffering even more. There's like 120 different forms of cancer right now. People are suffering, but we're supposed to be getting smarter. Society seems to be getting dumber. I teach Sabbath school to not the collegiate, but the high school, adolescent age group. And one of the things I look forward to the most is saying, who studied the quarter this week? And then you hear a barrage of excuses. Oh man, we had exams this week and I had a basketball game, and man, by the time I get done with homework and this and that, and sometimes I have to look at them and be like, you do realize we're in summer, right? Because they say these excuses so often that it just becomes their response. But I then try to pick out some things to say, how are you reminded of Christ in your everyday? Like, what things are bothering you? What things do you think? At what point of your day do you think about God? And these are some of the things that bring God back to their mind. Whenever my teacher talks about the Big Bang theory, I then start to question Genesis 1:1. Do we believe in creation, or do we believe in evolution? See, we don't realize, but we dress our kids up and we send them off to get this education, but we're not realizing that they're going into a battlefield. We're supposed to be preparing them in our homes, but we send them to be prepared by someone else in the world without questioning, what exactly is this person teaching my child? Many of us, and even our children, claim to be Christian, but they don't really believe in Christ, because you see, if you take on to science to a certain degree of what is being taught today, then you cannot believe in how Christ got here. And if you read through the Bible, then you won't believe in how he left. What? His mother was a virgin? What? He died, rose again, then flew to heaven? That makes no sense. Science does not back that. And so your children grow up being confused. Your children grow up being double-minded. What do I believe? They question the credibility of the Bible. Men wrote those Bibles things long time ago. Those are just stories. I hate when people say that's just a story. It's not just a story. It actually happened. It's history. Some don't know what to believe, as we said before, and because this becomes our way of life, and so we come to church on Sabbath, but we grow what's called congenital Christians. We were born this way. It's just what we do. So when we're faced with these things that are seen as controversial in the world, these things that seem to contradict the Bible, our children have no answer. They have no ground to stand on. We did not prepare them to go out and get prepared. The irony. What is causing the confusion? In the midst of all this, Christ gave us a warning. He said in Colossians 2 verse 8, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ." You know, my friend Alan, I don't know where he went, but he's like good with all this technology stuff. I try to stay away from it, hence I'm talking right now. He was studying business management and construction management. He's very good with his hands. And I remember one day we sat down and we were looking at the curriculum and the classes he had to take. And he had so many psychology and philosophy classes. I was like, what you need this for, to build some buildings? You ain't trying to have some therapy class with the building? And while these sciences help us to understand the mind and the way people think, it becomes a problem when it starts to tell your child how they're supposed to think. Especially if you have not consecrated them this morning, in the morning before sending them out. And so we come here today and, you know, some of us, it's hard to even stay up 20 minutes and listen to somebody speak. But especially when your child goes to college, they sit down for 3 hours just listening to the professor go on and on and on about what man's theology says. And they're brainwashed. Some of us can't even find 5 minutes in the mornings to pray with them. 5 minutes in the evenings to have a little Bible study. Some of our children don't even know what bedtime stories mean. Because your mom's out there trying to get a higher level of education. So she's on the internet trying to do some, you know, online classes. What time do we find for God? You know when we find time for God? I'm not even going to say Friday evening, because we're so tired with the world, all we can do is sleep. Sabbath morning, put on your clothes, come on, we got to go to church. Some of our children don't even get the pleasure of waking up to breakfast. Everybody's trying their hardest to stay up with the times, to stay with the pace of the growing technological world. I feel it for you guys, because this is New York. This is the fastest place on planet Earth. I couldn't keep track with the buildings. I was like, we made it here. Do you know what the traffic is like coming here? People have no patience when they're just skipping lanes. We're losing touch with ourselves. And what is the result? Well, here's some statistics. Hold on to your seats now. And this doesn't just represent the Seventh-day Adventist Church. This represents the Protestant faith at large. Each year, 4,000 churches close, but only 1,000 are opened. Each year, 2.7 million members fall into inactivity, which then leads them to leaving the church, being victims of abuse, disillusion, and neglect. The song, Each One Reach One, that ain't happening no more. On the dawn of the millennium, Protestants declined by almost 5 million, but the population grew by 24 million. Half of all the churches in the United States did not add a new member in the past 2 years. Right now, the United States is ranked third behind India and China as having the highest number of people who profess not to be Christians. But this country was founded on Christian principles. Right now, we're described as being an unreached people group. So when Christ says, the harvest is ready, but the laborers are few, that's because, brothers and sisters, there's work out there to do. But we're too busy doing something else. We're too busy trying to learn the computers and learn, you know, how to sustain this life. We're so busy preparing our children for life on earth. We're forgetting we need to prepare them for life after death, for life beyond this present time that we're living in.